Alrighty, folks, it is time for round 4 of Grand Prix Neo Stehlia, the final Swiss round of this particular GP. We are locked for top cut, but it is not top cut quite yet. And I need to find out what god I pissed off, because this is the third and final other Iviana deck in the field that we are facing here in this final round of the Swiss. So before we get into our opponent's deck and what we need to be on watch for, if you want to check out the format for yourself, as always, links are in the description below to all of the key resources for all things Revolution Custom Standard. Most importantly, that custom Magic Discord server, where you can join the format, play along with everyone else, and also check out all of the other cool, fun projects people are working on. So this round we're up against Silver Parabellum. Now, if Caillou is the one who really popularized and surged ahead with the Jeskai Iviana shell, Silver is the one who really popularized Iviana as a whole. Silver is the biggest Iviana believer, has been fighting and working to try and figure out how Iviana could come together, to my knowledge, for pretty much since Iviana was introduced around last year. Never quite came together, but Solitaire really does become the glue that helps bind it all together, and so Silver has really been championing Iviana, but rather than the Jeskai builds that were adapting some of the things learned from Dr. Chipmunk's battle control lists, Silver has been a big champion of the Grixis build, substituting white cards for black cards. Now, there are some really nice things that white has on offer, but black brings some pretty meaningful things to the table too, and I think we're kind of going to luck out on the fact that some of the scariest things in this matchup are not things the opponent has. Certainly, the one big thing that we are dodging here is hand attack. So let's get into the opponent's deck. This is another 25 land Iviana 3-color control deck. As always, Iviana is the name of the game here. 3 copies of Iviana, like you might expect. This deck has 5 cards in the sideboard dedicated to Iviana. The ones that you might expect: there is Asulio the Watchful Star, there is Draconos Magistus, there is Eltanon the Silent Star, there is Garation the Stormlord. Yes, Eltanon, even though they're not playing white, because Iviana makes 2 treasures on that downtick. So in matchups where Eltanon's really important, being able to get Eltanon and then pay 2 and use the 2 treasures to still exile all non-land permanents with mana value 2 or less is very reasonable, very meaningful. So certainly still a valid option to grab from the sideboard, and hardcasting Eltanon is not something you need to worry about, because if you ever have Eltanon in hand and you want to cast him as the 10/10, you can just go find Decoration to make that happen. The one extra dragon in the sideboard here is the one piece of hand attack that this deck has, in Rostabal the Enduring Star. Now, importantly, Rostabal here represents a one-shot kill. So Rostabal is a 1-mana sorcery adventure for Path of Oblivion. Single black, target opponent discards a card. They lose 2 life, and you gain 2 life unless a non-land card was discarded this way. So if we discard a creature, instant, sorcery, planeswalker, any of that goodness, we don't have life totals change. But if we discard a land, or we have no cards in hand to discard, then Path of Oblivion drains us for 2 in the process. Importantly here, Rostabal, not super valuable for Path of Oblivion, but the proper Dragon Spirit is a 10-mana 10/10 with flying that drains us for half of our life rounded up when he's cast. So when you cast him with Garation for 7 mana for Garation into Rostabal, let's say we've hit with, let's say we got like 2 hits in with an Offset Daemon, and we've shocked in 1 time. So we've gained 6, paid 2 life, and otherwise our life total has not changed. They have not been able to connect a single time. We're at 24. They cast Rostabal, drain us for 12, set us to 12, and then Iviana in play, letting Garation and Rostabal both have haste, swings for 16. So we need to in order to not die to Rostabal the Enduring Star off of Garation with an Iviana in play, if these 3 cards are all on the board, if we are not at least 33 life, we die. And even if we're at 33 life, the opponent... Sorry, no. We need to be at 34, because they drain us for 17 if we're at 33, which still sets us to 16, and that's exactly 16 in the air. So we need to be at 34 or higher, and even then, they're setting us to 1 while gaining 17. It's awful. It's brutal. We need to have a very defined plan for that. So let's talk about the rest of their deck. Some usual suspects, of course, Draconis Magistus as a 3 of in the main. There's a playset of Overrule Wills here. There's 2/3 become 1s. There's a playset of Seafloor Treasures. There's a trio of Thistral Charms in the main. Big fan of the Thistral Charms here. There's one Terminal Impact in the main, very much the similar situation as was true with Caillou's build, where there's 3 Thistral Charms in the main, 1 Terminal Impact in the main, and then 3 Terminals in the sideboard. But otherwise, that's when we start mixing things up. There's another burn spell here in Lunar Awe. 2 mana instant, deals 3 damage to any target. If a permanent is dealt damage this way, counter all activated and triggered abilities from that source, and it loses all abilities until end of turn. This is a very strong, flexible answer to something like Iviana, because you can... if I were to downtick Iviana -2, they can respond Lunar Awe Iviana, kill her while she's down at 2 loyalty, and counter the wish effect. That can be an absolute nightmare to deal with. So we do have to be very wary about when we're casting Iviana. Can also just 0.3 damage at our face in a pinch, which is very nice. They can deal 3 damage to an offset daemon in response to its enter trigger, so we don't get the subroutine token. This is a very good card in this matchup, I think. They're on some other creatures besides just Draconis Magistus, because they don't have access to Offset Daemon. They're kind of splitting things up a little bit more. There's 2 copies of Life Hacker in the 4 mana slot. 4 mana 4/4 in mono black with Lifelink, and you can pay 1 life and 1 mana to level it up. Sorry, pay 4 life and 1 mana to level it up. From levels 1 to 4, it's a 5/5 with Lifelink that draws you a card whenever you gain life. From levels 5 onward, it's a 6/6 that draws you cards equal to the amount of life you've gained. So very potent value engine there if left unchecked. Can also just be a very reasonable clock, and of course it helps offset the damage that we would be dealing with Offset Daemon. There's also Warden of Depths as a 1 of, a 6 mana 6/6 that reduces their first spell's cost on each of our turns by blue and a black. And during their end step, during each end step, they can cast cards in their graveyard as though they have Flash and Surface. So they can surface out, say, an extra copy of Thistral Charm. They can surface out copies of Lunar Awe. They can surface out 3 become 1. And it's anything in their graveyard. So they can surface out creatures. They can surface out Iviana at our end step. And this has a surface cost as well of 9 mana. Very prohibitive in this particular matchup, but is still something they could feasibly try and reach for. And then there's also 3 copies of Lutra Inquisos, a 7 mana 7/8 Otter Spirit with an 2 mana Path of Curiosity instant adventure. Any number of target players each mill 3 cards, then you return a card you own milled this way to your hand. So this allows them to dig a little bit deeper, find the things they need, set up their surface effects like Warden of Depths and Seafloor Treasures, and they can potentially mill over things we care about if we scry something to the top one way or another. Just hypothetically, if we have like some way of putting something to the top of our library, they could bin it with Lutra Inquisos and screw us over in that way. There is one other threat that we'll get to in the mana base right now, actually. We'll kind of get back to the mana base in a moment, but there is one copy of Chasm of the Silent Covenant here as well. Enters tapped unless they control an island, taps for a black. You can pay 2 blue to have it become a 4/4 with Vigilance until end of turn. Nice little stealthy threat that gets to dodge sorcery speed interaction. Adds a bit of resilience, and is one of the big draws to playing a blue-black control deck in this field, for sure. So beyond that, the sorceries are the other big place where things are changed up. There is a play set of Nightfalls. So this is 2 black for a sorcery. All creatures get -4/-4 until end of turn, or you make a 4/4 dragon with flying. I have been a big champion of this card being absolutely nuts because of the fact that its opportunity cost isn't as bad as most other board wipes would be in control mirrors, because they don't need to board this card out. This is not a dead card in this matchup. Yes, the -4/-4 is very situational. They're not going to have many cases where it's useful. There are going to be cases where it is. It can kill Offset Daemons, but more often than not, they're probably just going to use this to make a 4/4 flyer for 4. That is a really good rate for that body, all things considered, especially when the flexibility is that it is a main deck board wipe against aggro decks in the field. So certainly, this is one of the big advantages that they have over us, where we have 5 board wipes that are not going to be as valuable in this matchup. Though certainly we may be looking at keeping some things like maybe our Clash at Orith Crosses into our main deck in the post-board games, given the fact that they have a higher density and variety of creatures we have to be wary of. The last thing that they have access to is 2 copies of Coup d'etat. There's 2 more of these in the sideboard here. This primarily functions as their 3 mana, 3 toughness sweeper of choice. We get Deafening Clarion. They get a more cost-restrictive option here in Coup d'etat, but the advantage for Coup d'etat is that they can kill things with 4 or more toughness, so long as their power is 3 or less, if they're willing to pay in some extra mana to flip the stat lines on some of those creatures. And so that is overall the spell base of this deck. It's going to be a very interesting, tough matchup. We have already seen how this matchup fares once before, because every round so far has had a dragon control matchup of some fashion. Last round, it was Silver up against Epid, and Silver was the one who came out of this triumphant. Now, important to note, this is a qualifying match for Silver. It is not for me, so I have to just play this match out. I am in the top cut regardless of what happens here. If Silver loses this match, it is a top 7. If Silver wins, it is a top 8. The thing worth noting here is that there is still real, tangible stakes on the line for me. If I win this match, I am the top seed in the top cut, which not only means that as a top 7, I'll get a bye in the quarterfinals. I'll get to go right to the semifinals. It also means I will be deciding player draw in every single one of my matches. If I lose this matchup, it means there is no bye in the quarterfinals, and it also means I may be at the mercy of other people's choices for whether or not I'm on the play or the draw. So certainly I do still want to win, but it is kind of rough to be in the Dream Crusher role here. I've been on the other side of this situation before, so I understand it is my responsibility to do my best. I will certainly prefer to win here for my own chances in the top cut, but I will not lose any sleep if I do lose this matchup, because this is a very tough matchup, and I do think if the match between Silver and Epid is any indication, this deck certainly does have ways where it can kind of circumvent what Jeskai Dragons is doing a little bit. We'll talk about their sideboard here and now, just because there's not much else to go over. We talked about the coup d'etats, we talked about the extra terminal impacts. The other things here are 3 primordial gateways, which are really not for this matchup. It's mostly here for aristocrats strategies, because of Oblation being able to turn off sacrificing for spell costs and activated abilities. Can have some niche utility also with something like Prayer shutting off Life Hacker, but that's not that important, I think. And certainly doesn't really matter in this matchup. The other thing that they have is going to be the thing I think is most likely to come in here. I have to imagine if there is one sideboarding change they make, it is going to be going down 2 copies of Coup d'etat and up 2 copies of Stag of the Broken Crown. A 6 mana 6/6 Elk Horror with Flash, and this spell can't be countered. It has Ward 3, and it enters tapped if it was cast from exile, and it's castable from exile because you can chant it onto an instant or sorcery for a blue and a black. Importantly, this means that they can force through something like a Thistral Charm or a Lunar Awe or a 3 become 1. They can spend 7 mana on 3 become 1, certainly not a cheap 3 become 1, but they can spend blue, black, and then 3 blue, blue to chant Stag of the Broken Crown onto 3 become 1, and then slip it past counter magic, guarantee get it through uncounterable. And then they also put Stag of the Broken Crown in to exile, able to be cast later on, and it will be a 6/6 for 6, castable from exile at instant speed with Ward 3. So this is going to be a real problem for us in the post-board games we're going to have to be very aware of. I guess I did skip over their mana base, but there's really just mana fixing to talk about after the Chasm of the Silent Covenant. There is playsets of Enigmatic Fen, Misty Peak, and only 3 copies of Sanguine Palace, because black and red are less important than blue in this deck. 2 copies of Murky Path and 1 Rousing Path. Once again, blue, the most important color here. And then there is 1 mountain, 2 swamps, 3 islands, and 4 primal fissures. So that wraps up the deck tech for Dragon Control. This is going to be a really tough matchup. I'm very nervous about it, but we're going to hop right into game 1 here. Alrighty, we won the die roll with a 19 versus a 3. We've got, looks like 3 lands here. Double Silent Lakefront, not the best, but we do have access to Overrule Will, Seafloor Treasures, and Deafening Clarion. Opponent is keeping 7. I think I'm going to keep 7 as well. I can easily pitch this Deafening Clarion to Stargazing here. And then go Silent Lakefront on 1, try and find the second color I need off of Primal Fisher. Probably get a Mountain off of Fisher, get a Plains off of Lakefront. Sad to be using 2 Lakefronts in the opening hand for lands, but yeah, we can work with it. So we will Lakefront, view library, get that island, and pass. Depending on what the opponent does, we may actually be in the clear to kind of just do nothing on turn 2. Just go like Lakefront for Plains. Like, what do they have on 2 that we need to be wary of? Really nothing, right? Yeah, I'd rather just save my mana later on. So yeah, we're not even going to use the Primal Fisher. Untap, draw. We find a Misty Peak. I was going to let land drop off the top decide whether or not I want a Stargazing before or after the fetch. Misty Peak does mean that we could play Misty Peak tapped, save the Silent Lakefront for later. That is interesting. I think I am going to Stargazing first. So Stargazing, view top 1. 3 become 1. Ooh, very, very interesting. This is going to be kind of hard to squeeze in this particular matchup, but it is going to be a very powerful effect here. Oh no, Epid also had the instant Stargazing in their matchup. I think I'm going to go ahead and draw the 3 become 1. And I'm going to bin the Deafening Clarion to pick this back up. I'm going to play the Misty Peak because I think ultimately I am fine to just kind of hold on the Silent Lakefront. There's no urgency to rush this out. Opponent goes for Primal Fisher pass. We untap. We draw a Wind-Beaten Stones. Let's go for Primal Fisher. And I think... let's go for another Stargazing here. They say, top 1. Misty Peak, we can move to the bottom. Here, that's our 5th. That would be our 6th land here. And then we will draw an Iviana Dragon Tamer. Interesting choice now here. I'm thinking it might be pitch the 3 become 1. No, I think it's going to be bin the Stargazing here. They say it's ominous. Opponent is cracking Primal. I would like to respond to fetch and just do so myself. Yeah, I want to crack fetch in response because that is the one window where they do not have 2 mana to slip something through. We go get the first Plains. They're going to go for a Seafloor Treasures. I will say a K to that. I have no issue with them casting Seafloor Treasures here. If at all possible, I'd like to try and initiate a fight on their end step on turn 4 so I can go for a turn 5 Iviana. They've been a Lutra Inquisos off of Seafloor Treasures. Makes me think that they were digging for something like a land. Go for a Primal Fisher here. We will join them in Seafloor Treasuring. They say, Let's look at the top 2. Overrule Will, Misty Peak. I think I would... actually, this is going to be tough. I think I'd like to take Overrule Will here. But that does beg the question here. Do I Silent Lakefront next turn, or do I continue to hold it? Because Silent Lakefront does not cast Iviana or 3 become 1 on 5. But also Overrule Will going to the bin scares my opponent a bit, which could be appealing. Oh, opponent has lost connection. All right, we're going to pause real quick while they get that restored. Connection got restored before I could even pause. Alright, just making sure we're all good. I think I'd like to put the Overrule Will in the bin, get Misty Peak, and then just play Wind-Beaten Stones for turn. So we're going to bin Overrule Will, put Misty Peak in the hand. The one downside here is that Silent Lakefront does team me up for a Seafloor Treasures here, but I do value the uncounterable counterspell a lot in this matchup. So we're going to untap, draw a Fateful Ascent. We're going to go ahead and play Wind-Beaten Stones tapped and pass. All right, opponent just untaps, draws, plays Island, and passes. Good old-fashioned draw-go control. That is an offset Daemon off the top. We are clear to just play Misty Peak and pass. Okay, we are now prompting a Primal Fissure crack here. Going to get another Swamp. Paying 1-2 for Seafloor Treasures. That is fine by me. There could have been a real consideration here for Shock in the Misty Peak so I can threaten 3 become 1. Perhaps that would have been the right call. It also is interesting that perhaps I should have fought over the Seafloor Treasures a little bit, but they play Murky Path and pass. We will untap. We will draw a Rousing Path. Yeah. Rousing Path tapped. We just get to kind of hang out here. Let's see what's happening next. Opponent is thinking. Annoying. Fun. They bin Nightfall to hand size. I think this could be my cue to fire off the 3 become 1. Though I'm not too overly concerned here. I don't mind us just kind of drawing and continuing to hang out here. We find a Primal Fissure. That's great. Continuing to hit our land drops is nice. Opponent has missed a land drop, so we're now ahead on lands. Pretty comfortably, I might add. We will pass right there. This does open up their Seafloor Treasures here. Looks like that is what they are going to do. So they go ahead and surface a Seafloor Treasures. That is a little bit of concern for me, but the Primal Fissure here does open up my own Seafloor Treasures, so we'll be in action soon enough. Opponent asking if it resolves. I'll go ahead and say K. Top 2, what you got? Took 1, puts a Thistral Charm in the bin. Don't mind seeing that go. It's like it's situationally better than oh lordy, Chasm of the Silent Covenant. 4 mana, Life Hacker. I'll say K to the Life Hacker. They pass here. Let's go ahead on a Fateful Ascent. They just go ahead and make a chart. We untap. We've got 3 extra red, 4 red sources, 2 white sources. I think we're going to go ahead and crack Primal Fissure for a Plains here on the upkeep. So 1 mountain, 2 islands left in the deck here. We will draw an Overrule Will number 3 because we've got 1 in the bin. Oh, dang it, I had Seafloor Treasures up. I'm paying attention. If I go for Offset Daemon here, That does open them up to Lunar Awe the Daemon in response to the Enter trigger. I think that's fine, right? Offset Daemon, see what you got. They're thinking. They say K. Let's go ahead and make the overflow token. They're not stopping me from doing that, so. Let's go ahead and get this in, I think, program C here. Swing 3. Oh, they're going to Thistral Charm the Offset Daemon now. All right. I am perfectly fine with that. So that is the second Thistral Charm down. I do have a Seafloor Treasures available to me. I will probably go for that on their end step. Now, it's worth noting, they have Chasm of the Silent Covenant here. They do have access to this real clock. But I am not too abundantly concerned about it. Going to go for Seafloor Treasures here, see if they fight. They say, Let's look at the top two. Offset Daemon number 2 versus a Mountain. I would love to hit another land drop, but I do think that is a very tempting Offset Daemon here. What does 8th land get me? Not much, really. Like if I cast Offset Daemon, well, if I get this Mountain, then I can't cast Offset Daemon. The drawback to getting Offset Daemon here is just that the overflow is so far from progressing, and they are much more likely to be able to Lunar Awe the second Offset Daemon. I think I'm going to make them have it. We're going to bin Mountain, put Offset Daemon to hand. We'll go ahead and close out the graveyard for now. We will untap and draw. We find a Clash at Orith Cross. That does not deal with the Chasm of the Silent Covenant, but it does deal with just about anything else their deck can offer to us. So we go to program A. They're also at 7 lands now. So the question now becomes, do I want to continue holding Silent Lakefront, or do I value making this 8th land drop at this point? I think I'd like to be a little patient for one more turn. I think next turn I will go ahead and play the Silent Lakefront. So they go ahead and pay blue. Oh, they're paying black, black, and oh, they're cracking the chart here. They find a Misty Peak, so they are now ahead of us on lands. Seafloor Treasures at end step here. I am tempted to 3 become 1 here. Do I? I have 7 mana, so I leave 2 up. I draw 3, I go to 9, I cast 1, I go to 8, I discard 1 to hand size. I would rather get in a fight over 3, become 1 on their turn. Because if I pull the trigger on 3, become 1 here, they untap with 7 cards in hand, go to 8 cards in hand, and they have 8 mana to work with, completely unfettered by anything I have going on. They shock in Misty Peak, so they definitely do want the mana available. They're thinking. Paying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Warden of Depths. I'd like the 3 become 1 in response. They're going to try and overrule will. Okay. I'll pay the 2. They mill Nightfall, Lunar Awe, and Iviana here. So now we're going to draw 3. Terminal Impact, Deafening Clarion, Fateful Ascent. No Force of Will in this format. The thing I'm thinking about here is if I want to overrule will this. Because I do have Clash at Orith Cross, and I do now have Terminal Impact. I'm going to go ahead and overrule will this just because any attempt they make to do something on my turn, this is going to allow them to do so. I guess this only allows them to do overrule will or Lutra Inquisos, but still, that really pinches actions on my turn, and with them tapped out, I want to capitalize. I'm also going to mill them. The one thing I don't want to mill is Warden of Depths, so we see a second Lunar Awe go, so I think that's only 1 left. Interesting. They go ahead and pass here. We did not draw a single land off of that, which is interesting. Okay, well, there we go. We'll go ahead and go to Program B. Let's go ahead and play that island. We still got Silent Lakefront in hand. If we pull the trigger on just about anything, they get an opportunity to kind of mess with us. I think the play is going to be that we go for Offset Daemon, put an Overflow on Program B, and then we get to hold 4 mana up for Fateful Ascent Overrule Will. They're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they could threaten land drop Surface Warden of Depths next turn, but I am cool with that if that happens. Yeah. Let's go ahead and Offset Daemon number 2. I'm going to put that on Program B. Start pressuring. And I've got 7 cards in hand to their 6. Clarion, not super useful here, but that's fine. I've got a thing to pitch to Rostabal if that ever comes up. Let's pass. We'll go ahead and pop out the graveyard here because of the overflow. They have no enchant removal in their 75, so certainly this is one of the big advantages we have to being on Jeskai in this matchup, is that Offset Daemon itself, in an eminently destroyable creature, that is an Iviana Dragon Tamer here. I'm going to try and initiate a fight over this. They're going to pay 3 to Draconos Magistus it and counter altogether. All right. Draconos Magistus is on an adventure. Iviana resolves. But they are tapped out once again. They're going to down-tick Iviana. Looking at the sideboard. They're going to grab Rostabal the Enduring Star. They make 2 treasures. They go to end step. We untap. We draw a Lucent Basin. Overflow trigger. They say, mm-hmm. We get back an Offset Daemon. So they're at 15. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They can cast Rostaball here. Interesting. If I go for Iviana, that leaves me 3 mana up, 5 after the Iviana activation. Ooh, I do like that. The only downside if I go for Iviana is they might crack the treasures to try and counter, but that keeps them off of Rostaball if that is the case. I think I would like to do that. Actually, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That takes them to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Terminal Impact, you done it again. Let's just double check that they don't have any instant speed life gain here. It does not look like they do. So unless they can remove one of my Offset Daemons at instant speed here, I am going to try and just swing both at them. We will shock in a Lucent Basin. I believe that is Exactsies. Terminal Impact, getting across the finish line. All right, and we are into game 2, up a game. So as I mentioned in the deck tech, the only thing I'm particularly worried about is Stag of the Broken Crown here boarding in to give them more uncounterable things. Possible they board in Terminal Impact as well, but I do think their deck is a little better teched. I could see them going down on the Nightfalls, perhaps, like go down 2 Coup d'etats, 3 Nightfalls, only have 1 Nightfall left. Oh, but also one with impact after winning the die roll. Goodness gracious. For our part here, I am a little more interested in Helia Lacespire than I would be against the Jeskai builds. So specifically what that does for me is it lets me pressure the Warden of Depths more meaningfully. That's really the only thing it does, but it also does block Lifehacker and Warden in a pinch. It blocks Stag of the Broken Crown as well. I don't think that's enough to warrant me wanting to play Helia Lacespire, though. I think I'd rather just have a plan for that. Psyhawk's another thing I could consider. They have less token generation than the other builds. It's Iviana is, I think, the only token generation, so I think we're also not in on the Looming Psyhawks. I think Siscall, Thistral Charm are the things we want to look at. What does Thistral Charm counter from their deck? Really not much. It counters Iviana, and it deals 3 damage to nothing that matters, so I think we're not in on Thistral Charm either. I think it's just Siscall in and Deafening Clarions out. Which means we do not get an amazing Asulio Wish board, but in the matchups where we had Asulio in hand, the Wish board did not particularly matter. So, let's see how game 2 goes. Down the sweepers, up the Siscalls. And we saw 2 sweepers last game, two Deafening Clarions, so that could matter here. We've got 3 lands, 2 Fateful Sense, 2 Offset Daemons. This is a weird one. Again, with the double Silent Lakefront. I've kept some very greedy hands in this GP so far off the back of having good action, even with not enough lands, or too many lands. This seems like a reasonable amount of lands compared to spells. I'm going to mulligan this, because these lands do not really help my mana in any significant way. These are lands I'd rather be drawing later because of the fact that Silent Lakefront has text later on in the game beyond just being a land drop. And Offset Daemons and Fateful Ascents are not the things that win me this matchup in the early turns. I'm going to mulligan. All right. That is 4 lands, Terminal Impact, Overrule Will, Fateful Ascent. I think that is a much more reasonable 6. It's not got as much action, but I have a little bit of stack fighting compared to where I was at previously. So the question then becomes, what are we putting back? I think it is looking at putting back maybe this basic mountain. Yeah, we'll put back the basic mountain and rock it like that. Okay, Misty Peak and pass. We find a Draconis Magistus. That is going to be live on turn 3. We pass. The Draconis Magistus there, it occurs to me, I wonder why the Draconis Magistus... No, because it was Draconis Magistus in response to... It was them going for Iviana, me making them pay 2, and they paid 3 for Draconis Magistus. Yeah. They shock in Enigmatic Fen. We untap, we draw a Syscall here. Ooh, that's tempting. We'll go ahead and play the island. Is it worth instigating an early fight over the Syscall here? Not particularly. I think I'd rather try and squeeze that into a later turn. I was having a brief moment of questioning, like, was it actually the case that they Draconis Magistus my 3 become 1? I was already misremembering how that match went. Or how that game went. Tapped Sanguine Palace, which means we did just get a free 2 points of damage in there. We untap, we draw an Offset Daemon here. Missing out on land drops is a little awkward, but we're going to go ahead and play the Windbeaten Stones tapped. We've still got Overrule Will up. We do not have Fateful Ascent up. They go for Swamp. 4 mana Nightfall. I will Overrule Will that. I'm going to mill them. Terminal Impact in 2 lands. Happy to see it. We untap. We draw our 4th land here. We could look at going for Misty Peak here. We could also look at just holding up Draconis Magistus. Sorry, we could look at going for Offset Daemon here. We could try squeezing in Syscall and just psych them out with Fateful Ascent up. I mean, certainly, Syscall actually does not seem terrible to go for here. They can't remove it once it's in play. Yeah. Yeah, I actually really like going for Syscall here. Let's go ahead and get the subroutines up. So we're now even 18 all. We're going to put Syscall on program... Let's call it program B. I think we're not going to use it next turn. We're just going to kind of hold up mana. We'll pass. Primal Fish are tapped, and they pass. We are in the clear to untap with Syscall. Next turn, it looks like. We untap, we draw Iviana Dragon Tamer. We are missing a land drop now. That is unfortunate, but I was not particularly keen on tapping out of Draconis Magistus here, so I'm fine to let the Syscall run a little bit. Yeah, rough to miss the 5th land, though. Regretting putting 1 land to the bottom, but we weren't sure how these draws were going to shape up. We only had the 3 cards in hand to work with. They take the draw before they crack Primal Fisher. Oh, interesting. Island Pass. We untap and draw. We find a Terminal Impact. Syscall has run. I think here I'd like to go ahead and pay X's 1, draw 1 card, hold up 2 mana. We find a Clash at Orith Cross. Yikes. Oh, lordy. 3 become 1. Yeah, that's gonna happen. What you got for me? No free cast. Interesting. I do believe my opponent also missed a land drop there. They're not missing it here, though. That is land number 6 for them. That is Stag of the Broken Crown mana. So they could just flash this out. That might be what they're looking to do. They bin a Thistral Charm. So that is 1 Thistral Charm, 1 Nightfall, 1 Terminal Impact in the bin. We untap, we draw Loosened Basin at long last. Move counter over to program C. I think I would like to go ahead and shock in Loosened Basin. And pass. If they flash in Stag of the Broken Crown, that's 2 mana for Seafloor Treasures. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. If it was specifically Stag of the Broken Crown, I would have to debate if I want to spend 5 mana to Fateful Ascent it versus just trying to tank 6 damage and squeeze in a Clash at Orithcross. But with the mana pinch that I'm in, I think the option is leaning towards paying the ward cost for Fateful Ascent. Okay, they're going to go right back to surface the Seafloor Treasures. That's going to get a K from me. That is a nice thing about Seafloor Treasures. This is 5 mana to Sleight of Hand twice in the mid to late game. They've been Thistral Charm, and they've been, I believe it was Primal Fissure? The top 2. Yeah, Primal Fissure into bin. Chasm of the Silent Covenant, 7th land. They're going to start tapping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No thank you. Would not like to be dealing with Iviana right now. We do get away with that. Nothing else to capitalize on their turn. We draw a second Iviana here. So taking a moment to take stock of things. They have 1 Iviana in bin. They have 7 cards in hand. They have 2 Thistral Charms gone, so that's 2 potential counter spells gone. They have 2 mana up, so they could have 4 Overrule Wills, a 3rd Thistral Charm, or 3 Lunar Awes. That is 8 counter spells. They've got 7 cards out of the 42 left for them. Yeah, no, I'm not chancing Iviana here. That's not a winning move. I think we're just going to continue to be patient and accept that things are really dicey for us. If I were to try and push in Offset Daemon, I imagine that that's not a very comfortable plan. We pressure them to 15. We've got double Terminal Impact in hand, but really just nothing to capitalize on the Terminal Impact here. Yeah, I think we just got to continue hanging out. They hit their 8th land drop Misty Peak here. That is a second Iviana Dragon Tamer. Hate to see it. It's going to get a K from me. In response, I'm going to try and Fateful Ascent in response to the Iviana downtick. Can kind of instigate a fight over this, but nope, they're just going to go ahead and make the chart and the treasures. This does let them wish around whatever we do to them here. They do still get Rostaball. We untap, we draw. Seafloor Treasure still not helping us. I think I'm in on Syscall for 2. We draw Siscall, Rousing Path. Rousing Path does not help us here, but we're going to go ahead and play that as land for turn. Go to end step, pitch the Siscall. Things are not looking great. They don't even crack the chart token. Ooh. Okay, yeah, they did intend to crack the chart. Alrighty. It looks like they might be... Yeah, they're just doing this on end step. I'm cool with that. No need to fix. They took no game actions besides moving to untap their lands. They had 3 mana up. So I was not going to fight over this. They put Lunar Awe, 3 become 1, Terminal Impact, Overrule Will on the bottom. So that's 2 counterspell, like 2 of the potential 2-mana Iviana checks on the bottom of their deck. But that does... Primal Fissure does give them something here. That's looking like a Rostoball. I lose 8, they gain 8. Look at the top 2. Siscall number 3 or Draconis Magistus. Oh boy. We're going to bin the last Siscall, put Draconis Magistus into hand. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We untap. We draw another non-land card. Wow, we are 21 cards deep and we've only seen 6 lands. We know there's a 7th at the bottom of our deck. Goodness gracious. Yeah, we do kind of have to just clash at Orith Cross right now. And we don't even get to hold up interaction. That's rough. But yeah, we're going to reveal that we kept clashing for this precise reason. And we are dead to 2 hits from Chasm of the Silent Covenant, so we are not sitting pretty by any means. Terminal Impact just kills us, yeah. Eye for an eye. Yeah, that's going to be game 3. We just stumbled on mana really hard there. All right, looking at game 3, going to be on the play. Siscalls versus Clarions. Opponent's going to go to the bathroom real quick. That gives me time to think about this anyways. So Thistral Charms, I think, still not very good in this matchup. Siscall... Yeah. See, my issue is Siscall is just so awkward early because it's something you have to choose to not leave up interaction for to get it into play. And doing so comes at the cost of spending more mana on later turns not interacting with the opponent. And obviously we did get to draw some cards there. We spent 5 mana over 2 different turns drawing 3 cards. So by that measure, we spent 7 mana... Oh, opponent disconnected again. All right. We spent 7 mana on what 3 become 1 does for us, but over multiple turns, and we didn't get a free cast out of it. Where does Looming Psyhawk get us in comparison? This is tough. I really just don't see anything we'd want to board out for Psyhawks here. I think all of our stuff in the main deck is important. Yeah, I think we just got to keep same configuration. Oh, lordy. 5 lands, seafloor treasures, and an offset daemon. Well, that makes our offset, our seafloor treasures very easy here. I think we're going to keep 7 here. This means we're pretty much set for mana. We can go Windbeaten Stones on 1, Rousing Path on 2, hold up Seafloor Treasures, and then just kind of work towards action. Stones and pass. One of Chasm showing up all 3 games. Has yet to be animated, but still. We'll go ahead and play Rousing Path and pass. Draconis Magistus, a very nice draw here. Makes me think I would like to play the island before shocking in either of these. They go for an Enigmatic Fen untapped. Let's see if we get in a Seafloor Treasures War. They say that's good. Top 2. Island Clash. Will bin and Islands take a clash? Untapped draw. Lucent Basin, that's 6 lands. Ooh boy. We've seen 2 non-land cards this game. Go ahead and play the island and pass. That is a Seafloor Treasures for the opponent. We will say K to that. We've got Counterspell, we've got Daemon, we've got Clash. They've been a Lunar Awe. That is nice to see with us having an offset Daemon in hand. Though it's possible that that means they were looking at 2 Lunar Awes. It's possible they just already have one in hand and don't need the extras. We will draw a Syscall here. We are going to be very patient on that one. Lucid Basin tapped and pass. They are cracking. What you need 3 mana for? Nothing. They are just getting the island now. No red sources yet. Spoke too soon. They're still shocking in lands, which is exciting for me. I'll go ahead and draw Terminal Impact here. Let's go ahead for a Misty Peak. Yeah, we're just going to keep hanging out. They're going to pay 2 for Lutra Inquizos. Only milling themselves. They mill Overrule Will, Murky Path, Mountain. So if they put in Overrule Will, we know they have a face-up counterspell. They have chosen the Murky Path. All right. They're going to play that as their land for turn. Well, I can shock in Windbeaten Stones and pay through a Seafloor Treasures. They do have Lunar Awe up, though. 2 remaining in the deck. 49 card. They've got 7 in hand. Do I want to chance it? We untap. We draw a Fateful Ascent. I think what I'd rather do is lead on a Syscall. If they fight over this, I will let it happen. I would rather have Draconis Magistus up right now. They say that's fine. We make our subroutine. Thinking on what I want to put this on, I think I'd like to put this under A. I'll have 6 mana next turn, try to dig for a 7th land. Windbeaten Stones tapped and pass. They miss a land drop here, pitch a Nightfall to hand size. That's pretty good for me. We will draw a Plains. That's our 7th land here. Syscall up to active. Let's go ahead and play Plains as land for turn. We can afford to draw 2 cards without overdrawing. I think I'd like to do that. Yeah, with them having 5 mana up, I don't want to do too much here. I could also just pay a single mana in here, Syscall, draw 1, have Fateful Ascent and Draconis Magistus up, so I can play both. This is tricky. I think I'd like to go ahead and draw 2. So we will go back up to 7. Primal Fisher Stargazing. I may Stargaze here. Very interesting. I don't think I want to Stargaze, if only because I like everything in my hand. It does start building me up towards Seafloor Treasures, though, so that is worth considering. Yeah, I think we're going to go for it. Top card, just the one, is a Silent Lakefront. Very interesting option here. I think I'm going to put that to the bottom for now. We find an island. We will go ahead and pitch the Primal Fisher here, I think, to keep the Stargazing. And we'll pass. They pay 5. 3 become 1. This is not something I want to fight over here. It's a very good draw spell. Don't get me wrong. I think there are more important things to fight over in this matchup. No. Oh, they are going to free cast a Seafloor Treasures from hand. Yep, that's fine. So they dig 5 cards deep. They look at 3. They get 3. Then they look at one of the next 2 and get one of them. They bin a Lutra Inquizo, so that's 2 of the Lutras seen here. This does get them to their 6th land drop, most likely. They got 10 cards in hand, though, so they are probably going to be discarding the hand size here. Unless they start ripping game actions. That's going to be 2 cards in hand size here. They are thinking on discard. That is fine by me. I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm not going to take any actions in response to this. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've been a Thistral Charm. So that is a check for Iviana gone. You still have 8 cards in hand. Yeah, they got it. It feels so weird to let them resolve a draw 3, but I think with the 1 Draconis Magistus here, I just need to be very measured. They've been the second 3 become 1. So they've got 2 Seafloor Treasures available. They've got the 6 mana. We untap. We draw a second Fateful Ascent. Moved Program B. We go for an island. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we had the second terminal impact, I would just let it rip here. I think we're going to go for a Stargazing here, though. Top 1 is a Wind-Beaten Stones. We're going to go ahead and move that to the bottom. We find a Misty Peak. I think I'm going to pitch a Fateful Ascent here. Debating if I want to pull the trigger on an Offset Daemon just to see if I can get that rolling. So if I play Offset Daemon, I put it on C, that would trigger next turn. If I put it on A, it triggers in 2 turns. Yeah, I'd like to force the issue on an Offset Daemon. They say that's K. On ETB, yeah, they've got the Lunar Awe. All right, that is the second Lunar Awe used. Offset Daemon down. Yep. Well, force the issue on an Offset Daemon. Lunar Awe, number 2, expended. That is another check for Iviana gone. If I can find her. Yeah. We're just going to ship on back. We've got Draconis Magistus available. They do get the Seafloor Treasures once here. Very interested to see what they choose to keep, what they choose to bin. They bin a second Thistral Charm. Oh. Treasures should be exiled. They put it in their graveyard. Yep. They got it. So they play Rousing Path as land for turn. They're recovering from missing some land drops here. We untap, we draw Aviana Dragon Tamer at long last. We go to program C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That does let us Iviana here, hold up Draconis Magistus, go get a Sulio. That's going to instigate a fight for sure. But I think it is a fight I'm fine to have. Let's Stargazing first, though. They say that's fine. Top card is another Offset Daemon. Ooh, I would rather have a fight over that. He will draw this. I think been a Clash at Orith Cross now. Yeah, we'll bin Clash at Orith Cross. Pick up the Stargazing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Show me the last Lunar. Once again, if they have interaction for this, I am not going to fight it. They say that's K. All right, we do, in fact, get the Overflow token. I'm going to go ahead and put this right on program A because we've got an Offset Daemon in our graveyard. Let's go to combat. They're going to take 3. We gain 3. Main 2. Let's play Misty Peak tapped as land for turn. And pass. They pay 6. Stag of the Broken Crown is fine by me. I do not mind Stag of the Broken Crown one bit. It's a little awkward when we just pitched Clash at Orith Cross. But Faithful Ascent also costs 5 to deal with this, so that's fine. They're going to swing 6. They pass. All right. If we get in here, Offset Daemon off the top. We untap. We draw another Syscall. We move to program A. Get back Offset Daemon. Go right to combat. Before blocks. Oh, are they going to Stag of the Broken Crown chant a terminal impact here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nightfall with Stag of the Broken Crown. Wow. -4, -4. So that is going to clear both of our Offset Daemons. That is going to set Stag of the Broken Crown down to 2 toughness. And then they have a Stag number 2 off here in the exile. Yeah. That buys them some time. So we've got 9 mana here. I think with that in mind, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Man, we are 2 mana away from killing them with Terminal Impact. It is so tempting to not pull the trigger on that. Whew. We got 6 cards in hand. I've got 9 mana available. Iviana leaves me with 4. What if I go for Iviana? No, if I go Iviana uptick to kill the Stag, that is wrong. That is so incorrect. Yeah, them having the second stag there is really brutal. If it was a terminal impact there to try and deal damage to us and clear the phoenixes, we were golden. But because it was specifically the Nightfall, yeah, Nightfall really still good in the control matchups here, as evident. And importantly, they valued clearing both of our phoenixes more than developing the dragon here. The dragon puts us to 10 next turn. Sorry, puts us to we'd be at 23, puts us to 13 next turn. But they would have 10 power on board with another stag in exile. So we'd be at 13 with them threatening 16 the following turn, which kills us through the Phoenix, and the Phoenix can't block the dragon anyways. But of course, it would leave them at 8 with terminal impact killing them. So it was very heads up play on the opponent's part here. It's a very tricky spot to be in, though. I think we're going to go ahead and stargazing here. Because this is no different than paying the 1 extra mana into Syscall. Draconis Magistus number 2. We're going to go ahead and send that to the bottom here. I think right now, uncounterable spells are not actually that valuable. Actually, hold on. What does this matchup have as far as hard removal? They really don't have any. Yeah, they have no hard removal other than terminal impact, and that's not a cheap hard removal spell. I just don't have time to put this into play, though. Ship this to the bottom. We draw a Lucent Basin. I've not made a land drop yet this turn, right? No, I have not. So this does give me the window to look at. Yeah, this gives me a window to look at trying to hit my 10th land drop here. We're going to go ahead and pitch the Syscall to get this back. This feels dirty, but I think I'm going to be using Fateful Ascent for 5. Right? So they hit me for 6. They take me to 11. They are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They'd have 9 mana. They can't kill me with Terminal Impact. What can they kill me with? I don't think they... Oh, no, they can kill me with... No, they can't kill me with Lunar Awe. Actually, hold on. If they have Lunar Awe on the end step here, they can kill me through it. If they were judicious with their final copy of Lunar Awe. I think that is the last reason I need to go ahead and point this Fateful Ascent at the Stag of the Broken Crown. So we're going to go ahead and play Lucent Basin tapped. We're going to go ahead and pay 1, 2 for a... Maybe it is just pulling the trigger on Terminal Impact and trying to drag this out a little bit longer. If I play Iviana... Yeah, I'm going to go for Iviana here. Because I can get the treasures, then I can Terminal Impact the Stag for 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go for Iviana. We're just not going to use Syscall this turn. Counters to 2. All right, we're going to go ahead and make 2 treasures, open up our sideboard. Duration's not super important. It's just Asulio. Asulio gives us another counter spell to hold up here. Is it actually just Draconis Magistus? Because then we get to say, like, hey, we have an uncounterable counterspell. Yeah, I think it's Draconis Magistus. I'd rather they see that we've got the uncounterable counterspell here. Yeah, terminal impact getting through the ward there is very important as well. I wanted to save that so badly, but I think I do just have to be measured. Was that right? No, that's very wrong. I have the 11 mana to kill them next turn. That's a terrible misplay. Well, they say, well, sounds like you have a second one in hand then. Yeah, this VOD's going to show that I have made a grave mistake here. Yeah, I'm fine. I was so tunnel visioned on how do I get the stag off the board. You don't. You just don't. You let it happen. They animate Chasm. They swing at Iviana. Do I care? Nope. Iviana down. You're going to pay 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going for an Iviana of their own. That's going to get the Draconos Magistus out of me. Yep. On an adventure. So that's the first Iviana gone. They've spent 2 Nightfalls. Man, that was such an embarrassing misplay there. So if they... No, Animating Chasm doesn't change the clock on Terminal Impact there. We untap, we draw... I was going to laugh so hard if it was like land drop off the top. We draw Fateful Ascent. Remove counter, move it over to Program B. Let's Stargazing. Top card is an Offset Daemon. That is huge. We're going to go ahead and draw that, pitch a Fateful Ascent, get the Stargazing back. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Offset Daemon is inbound. Put that on Program C here. Swing in for 3, gain 3 up to 20. We pass. Man, that terminal impact play is one of the sloppiest things I've done in my lifetime. That is just genuinely embarrassing. I was just so tunnel visioned on like, oh, this gets through the ward. It's 2 toughness right now. This is the best terminal impact's gonna be against Stag of the Broken Crown. Nope. Iviana Dragon Tamer number 2. Do I care about this? They have 4 mana available to them. I mean, if they down tick, we can just pressure like 3 at Iviana, 3 at their face, take them to 5. No, this gets them Rostaball, which saves their life total here. I think I need to counter this. Draconos Magistus. No, thank you. Yeah, second Iviana not permitted. The nice thing of getting the Draconos off of Iviana is that when you spend it, the opponent's not thinking about the second one. Oh, are they just looking to scoop here? Yeah, I think they're looking to scoop because they're showing the top. Terminal Impact very far down. I mean, that Stag Nightfall play was very heads up from the opponent. All right, it looks like we have won this game, which puts us 4-0 in the Swiss. We are going to have a bye in the quarterfinals, putting us directly into the semifinals. 2 more matches between us and our second GP win, which would put us perfectly bracketing either side of Worlds, winning the first tournament after Worlds and the last tournament before Worlds. Though we still have 2 more matches to get through for that. Opponent is going to be scooping it up, it looks like. Early land miss was brutal as it forced you to discard twice. Yeah. All right. We are in top 8. First seed. Well played to Silver. Definitely a tough series. Definitely some very awkward choices to maneuver there. One of the most embarrassing play patterns I think I've ever made in my life. I had a much cleaner line if I just didn't care about the stag, but I tunnel vision so hard. As though, like, oh, if they have Lunar Awe number 3, I can't stop that with the counter spell I just revealed off of Iviana. God, that was so embarrassing. Yeah. But I mean, it still worked out. I was able to navigate through it anyhow, courtesy of finding the third offset daemon. So, yeah, we are 3-0 against the Iviana matchups. We have beaten every other Iviana player in the field, I think in a 2-1 match every single time. So certainly not easy matches by... Sorry, no, we did win round 1 2-0, but still, certainly not an easy match by any measure. On any of these marks, but we have fought our hardest. We had to be the Dream Crusher, but it's going to get us in a very comfy spot for top 8. So I'll see you all next when we hop into the semifinals match, whoever that might be against. In the meantime, of course, as always, you can check out the link in the description below, leads you to all of the key resources for all things Revolution Custom Standard. Most importantly, that custom Magic Discord server. Come join the format, play it yourself. Subject me to more control mirrors, I beg of you. I'm kidding, please don't. Please don't. I'd like to not see Iviana for a while after this month. And yeah, let's see how things shake up in the top cut. 2 matches between us and the title. Wish me luck. I'll see you all there. And until next time, I'll see you all in the Revolution chat. Bye-bye.